Look at any photo of yourself. Now imagine it with no eyebrows at all. Just smooth skin where two thin strips of hair should be. It looks wrong almost instantly, uncanny in a way that's hard to explain, even though eyebrows do almost nothing physically compared to the rest of your face. They're not needed for chewing, seeing, breathing, or speaking. And yet nearly every human has them, and their evolutionary history goes back deep into our lineage. So what are two small strips of hair above your eyes actually for, and why does removing them feel so unsettling? The most obvious explanation is also the oldest one: sweat and rain protection. Eyebrows sit in a ridge above your eyes, specifically positioned to divert moisture sideways, away from your eyeball, instead of straight down into it. Anthropologists studying the brow ridge in early hominins, including species like Homo erectus, note that this bony ridge was even more pronounced in our ancestors, likely serving the exact same drainage function long before modern humans existed. That's a solid, practical explanation. But it likely isn't the whole story because the modern human eyebrow looks quite different from that heavy ancestral ridge, and something else appears to have shaped it along the way. Here's where the story gets more interesting because part of the answer seems to be about something far more social than physical. One influential hypothesis put forward by evolutionary biologist Nathan Lentz and colleagues suggests that as early human faces became flatter and less protruding compared to species like Homo erectus, our foreheads gained something those ancestors never had: room. Room for eyebrows to move independently, freely, and expressively in ways a heavy, jutting brow ridge simply couldn't allow. Under this hypothesis, we may have traded a thick protective ridge of bone for a thin, mobile strip of hair capable of something bone never could: communication. It's a compelling idea, though like much of human evolutionary history, it remains one strong explanation among an ongoing scientific conversation, not a fully settled answer. Subtle expressions would have been much harder to produce with a heavy ridge of bone above the eyes. And the communication angle holds up surprisingly well under research. Studies on facial recognition have found that people can identify familiar faces significantly faster and more accurately when eyebrows are visible, compared to when they're digitally removed, sometimes even faster than when the eyes themselves are removed instead. In a well-known 2003 study out of MIT, researchers showed participants images of celebrities with either their eyes or their eyebrows digitally erased. Recognition accuracy dropped more when eyebrows disappeared than when eyes did. That's a strange result if eyebrows are just decorative. It suggests they're doing a surprising amount of identity processing work in your brain, arguably more than the eyes we assume are doing all the heavy lifting. That explains recognition. But eyebrows aren't just for identifying people. They're doing something even more specific moment to moment. Humans use an enormous, almost universal range of eyebrow movements to communicate emotion and intention without saying a single word. A quick upward flash signals recognition or greeting, something researchers have documented across wildly different cultures with no shared contact, suggesting it's closer to hardwired than learned. A single raised brow signals skepticism, both pulled down and together signals anger or concentration. Psychologist Paul Ekman, known for his cross-cultural research on facial expressions starting in the 1960s, found that eyebrow position is one of the fastest, most universally recognized nonverbal signals across human societies, sometimes registering in as little as a fraction of a second, faster than most people can consciously control. So that seems to settle it. Eyebrows evolved primarily for silent, rapid-fire social communication, layered on top of an older, more basic function of keeping sweat and rain out of your eyes. Except, there's one more detail that complicates even that tidy explanation. Eyebrow shape and thickness vary enormously across individuals and populations in ways that don't obviously map onto communication efficiency at all. Some researchers argue sexual selection may have played a role too, eyebrows functioning partly as a visible marker of age, health, and hormonal status, similar to other secondary sexual characteristics, meaning mate selection pressures may have shaped their prominence right alongside communication and protection. Untangling exactly how much credit each pressure deserves, drainage, expression, recognition, attraction, remains genuinely unresolved. So the truest answer might be that eyebrows were never built for just one job. They started as runoff channels on a heavy prehistoric skull, gradually gained room to move as the human face flattened, and were likely repurposed by evolution into one of the fastest, most universal communication tools on the human body, all while still quietly doing the very first job they ever had. Every time you raise an eyebrow without thinking, you're running software that's been in development for millions of years, built on top of hardware that started out as nothing more than a gutter. If your brain enjoyed peeling back this mystery, subscribe, and let's keep peeling.